Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at the Mirai Fury. So Mirai is the new performance wing of Misc, and this is what we have been delivered. 2 Snub fighters, 2 pocket rockets with ample firepower, excellent maneuverability, and of course can be shoved into nearly every ship in the game. Cutlass Black and above, any ship with a decent sized cargo bay has now become a mini carrier in its own right. Now admittedly, I was a little bit surprised and sort of confused as to why we're getting these ships when it was revealed, because I'm almost certain, although I couldn't find the source, but I'm sure in the past CIG said that there were certain things they didn't want to have with ships in game becoming their own light carriers in some respects, and then this arrives on the scene, and already I think you could probably get 12 of these in the Hercules. The Caterpillar is immediately being converted to a Crackerpillar. The Snub fighters fit in those cargo bays beautifully. So it is going to be interesting for pirates and large orgs to see what uses players are going to get from these Snub fighters, because the DPS is good. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens with these ships in and around the verse. So it is almost certainly going to be an interesting scenario to watch play out.
A body, a weapon, gravity itself. Does it break, or does it break through? Power beyond expectation. Class-defying maneuverability. Transformative integration of Xi'an tech and design. A revelation in short-range combat. Unleash the fury. Only from Mirai.
Shatter the limits. Mirai is the very essence of performance. We take the impossibly high standard in Starflight set by Misc and dare to push it to its absolute limits and beyond. The Fury defines our mission. A truly next generation Snub chassis, meticulously tuned for exceptional performance. When we built the Fury, we threw out the rulebook and fundamentally changed the way we approach Snub craft. After some time behind the stick, we're confident you'll do the same. Next Gen Skirmisher. 4 size 2 laser repeaters, optimized for absolute precision and control, make the Fury a revolution in short range space combat. It's capable of relentlessly harassing largest and most heavily armed vessels while remaining elusive to targeting systems. Overwhelming Force. A truly revolutionary approach to snubcraft design maximizes portability, allowing for effortless transport and the ability to launch quickly into overwhelming swarm formations. Hard Target. Deep integration of Xi'an tech and design principles give the Fury class-defying maneuverability and sense-shattering velocity, rendering it elusive in combat. So they were the words of Mirai, the performance wing of Misc themselves. They think very highly of this Snub fighter. I tend to agree. It is very maneuverable, and it does pack some respectable, for a ship of this size, its DPS is, up there. There are some foibles and weaknesses to the ship, one being that it just can't take any damage, and I've noted that if you lose an engine, it really is game over for this particular ship. You have very, very little control, and I think that's a good thing, because a swarm of these is going to cause a lot of problems, and they are going to be hard to hit with their tremendous maneuverability, especially in atmosphere. It's going to outperform most ships that you might be up against. Let's say, unless it's another Fury, which is the case at the moment, is more than likely going to be another Fury. But getting damage, I think, could be a problem. If you lose an engine, like I said, controlling the vessel becomes nigh on impossible. So it's very balanced in that respect. Also, we don't have a QT drive, which is a good thing, because I think if this was to have some sort of QT drive, it would just be ridiculously overpowered in some respects. So range is a key factor when using this ship, but the fact that it's so small and can be transported by a huge variety of the ships that we have in game at the moment, I expect to see these commonly everywhere. This is going to be the new norm. There's going to be a lot of Furies knocking around. So it's interesting to see just how these ships are going to be utilised. I mean, the missile variant, I didn't buy the missile variant just for one simple reason, is I just don't feel missiles are effective yet. I think countermeasures are way too strong for missile ships to be any sort of use. I think there's a lot more balancing to be done with missiles in general. They go stupid really quickly. They hardly ever hit the targets. They always go for the countermeasures 9 times out of 10. That kind of put me off of it. And then I got to thinking, well, this is cool, the missile variant. It is very cool, but it has a blast door over the cockpit that uses 6 or 7 cameras to navigate, and you can sort of use that Xi'an tech to see through the cockpit via that blast door that covers the bubble cockpit, which is cool. But then I thought, well, why do you need that? Because I think they've got this the wrong way round, in my personal opinion. I mean, feel free to chime in, of course, but missiles are standoff weapons, i.e. you're going to be shooting them at range, whereas the Fury doesn't have this blast shield over the canopy, over the bubble cockpit, and you're going to be up close engaging targets in the Fury. Arguably, I would say that the Fury should have this really cool blast door on the front of it, and the RX shouldn't, because it's a standoff weapon. So that was something I found a little bit bizarre, unless I'm missing something, which I probably am. But I just feel like that should be swapped over. Like I said, I think the missiles need a bit more tweaking and a bit more work to make me want to buy that variant. The Fury has the repeaters and missiles, so it's a win-win, and I think the Fury is the better model of the two. They both handle identically, pretty much, and they fit in everything, and apparently you can use them to smash things out of the way, so that's always good to know. Very interesting to see. I'm sure you've seen multiple videos now of people ramming these things into C2s and caterpillars, and it's going to be interesting. I kind of like the idea of a group of friends trying to do cargo running who get bumped by griefers and or pirates and then quickly dispatch a load of these. The flip side of that, of course, is why wouldn't the pirates be bringing these anyway? So it's going to make for some interesting mini Starfleet battles, in my opinion. Now, when we talk about the ship itself, I wasn't too keen on it at first. It kind of reminded me of those deep sea submarines that they used to discover wrecks. You know, it had that sort of submarine look to it almost. The more time I spent around it, it grew on me more and more, and then I realised that the Xi'an tech that they've implemented is really cool as well. So it shares the same sort of hovering aspects that the Nomad has in some respects. I know it's a different company, however, it's nice to see that Xi'an tech creeping. As you can see, the bottom 2 engines rotate and also become the landing gear, and it's a very, very cool animation. The thrusters and the engines themselves look really good. That sort of typical sort of gas blue that we get, that you might get from like a cooking stove, for example. So I do like that. I do like the animations. As you can see, there's some battle damage on the ship. That's a bug. I did not do any combat or crash into anything, and that appeared. So I think there's a few bugs to be worked out with damage models, etc. So just gloss over that for now. But the Xi'an tech itself, I expect to see that on the Odyssey. That sort of triangular with the lights. It's very interesting. Now, it's been brought to my attention that this ship looks familiar. Let's see what that's about.
Might look at this and say the Mirai theory reminds them of another popular spacecraft. What would you say to that?
I don't know what they're talking about.
I too don't know what they're talking about. It must be something like Star Trek Wars Galactica. Who knows? It's a mystery. Right, moving on. So, the Fury. That is the ship I chose, as, like I said, I'm not quite confident in where the missile system works in-game at the moment. I do think some more balance tweaks are needed towards missiles and countermeasures in general. The Fury is going to be much more for the avid dogfighter for sure, and I just can't help but feel that the blast shield should be put on the Fury. I think they've got that the wrong way round. You know, this missile variant is a standoff weapon platform, so therefore you're not going to be anywhere near your target, and if you are, you're in trouble, because we know that these ships cannot take a lot of punishment, and if you've got one and lost an engine, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's now go over the specifications for the Fury. So the role is a snub fighter, has a crew of 1, combat speed of 220 meters per second. In its landed configuration, the length is 6.13 meters, the width is 3.8, and the height is 3.27. So really compact in the landing configuration. In the flight configuration, it has a length of 7 meters, a width of 5.4, and a height of 2.6. Power plant, it has one size 1. It has 4 main thrusters, 12 maneuvering thrusters, 1 size 0 fuel tank, 1 size 1 shield generator, coolers, 2 size 1s, fuel intake 1 size 0, life support 1 size 0. So let's go over some of the questions in the Q&A, because I think there's some important information that you might want to hear. So, what's the smallest ship the Fury can fit in easily? The smallest ship we intended for the Fury to fit inside is the Drake Cutlass Black, though the consolidated Outland Nomad can also fit one in the rear cargo bay. Can the weapons on the Fury be replaced with missile racks, or vice versa with the MX? No, the Fury's weapon mounts are not interchangeable with missile racks, the same as any other ship. Given their size, the MX's missile racks are bespoke, so only missiles themselves are able to be swapped out for different types. How does the Fury perform relative to the Merlin and Archimedes in speed, agility, firepower and durability? Pretty well. Speed and agility wise, it is very competitive, though this is at the expense of durability. Does the Fury have any personal storage or weapon racks? There is no space for a weapon rack, however there is small personal storage area. How does the Fury compare to light fighters like the Anvil Arrow? Quite favourably. While it is a snub, due to the lack of quantum drive, it was designed by Mirai to go toe-to-toe with other light fighters and has a weapon loadout to compete against them. Like other light fighters, its weakness is durability, and given its size, a few well-placed shots can be catastrophic. Does the Fury have an ejection mechanism for the pilot? No, it does not. How does the Fury's power signature compare to other snub ships? It is comparable, as they all share a similar set of power, shielding and cooling components, with only the weapons differentiating their power requirements. Does the Fury leverage any alien technology in its design? Mirai is a sub-brand of Misc, so benefits from the parent company relationship with the Xi'an race. As such, the Fury utilizes alien thruster technology, which can be seen at the rear of the ship. How well does the Fury fly in atmosphere compared to space? Above average compared to other ships. Given its low mass and thrusters that can hit many angles of thrust, it's one of the easiest ships to fly in atmosphere. How safe is the glass cabin for combat? As safe as it can be, given its visibility requirements. The MX has a deployable blast shield that provides some extra damage resistance. So that's a fairly comprehensive Q&A. I think most questions have been answered by the devs there. So now let's take a look at the stock components that you will find if you decide to add one of these great little ships to your fleet. Okay, so the first ship we'll take a look at is the Fury, and of course we're on Urkel.games to get some of these basic stock components, see what we're working with here. So as you can see, the Fury variant has 4 badges, which is size 2. Of course, you can swap these out for different weapons if you would like to. We also get some missiles with this particular variant, so it's pretty cool. So we have missiles, and we do have the 4 repeaters. The shield, we have a cloak, and then we have power plant roughneck, 2 coolers, which are the hydro cells. I haven't been in this ship long enough to tweak anything, but if I was going to, because this ship is extremely fragile, it would probably be, where is it? There it is, the FR66, 2 of those. They tend to be the sort of a solid one to go for. Power plants, couldn't tell you at this early stage. That would be for your experimentation, I would have thought. And as we swap to the Fury M6, you can just see we have no dedicated guns, let's say, but we do have missiles, just all of the missiles. So if you are the owner of this particular ship, you're more than likely going to want to bring the most powerful missiles that you can find. But you can see we have Ignite 2s, we have Marksman 1s, ×2. So the Snub Fighter MX variant is quite literally just dripping in all of the missiles ever, and you can see it does share the same components that are found on the Fury. So we have the cloak, the roughneck, no power plant, QT drive of course, and we do have the 2 hydro cell coolers. So fairly standard stuff. Have fun experimenting. So these are fantastic little ships, and they can go anywhere with you on your journeys. In most ships with a decent sized cargo bay, it would seem. I'm interested to know, when we get this new mining vehicle from RSI, if they would give it a cheeky little cargo bay, because I like the idea of having a mining ship that could fit one of these in the back for its own protection, so you don't have to rely on people as much. Maybe you and your friends could, you know, have one mining in a turret, the other one flying it, and then someone in the back in the Snub fighter in Overwatch following you around, shadowing you as you try to crack the new mining mechanics and making that money, which by the way is fantastic. I think the changes to mining have been brilliant. Thoroughly enjoying that at the moment. So in the grand scheme of things, I think Snub fighters are going to be more common than ever. I think they're going to open up some interesting ways to play the game. I'd like to try at some point and shove one in the back of the Reclaimer lift once that gets fixed, because that's been broken for a long time. See if I can take one of these in the back of the Reclaimer, because the Reclaimer has a fairly substantial lift elevator at the back. I'm wondering if we could sneak one in there and then have a point defense Snub aircraft on a Reclaimer. I think that's a nice little option. So there's a whole multitude of game loops that have just opened up with these 2 particular small Snub fighters. The other point I'd like to make is I'd like to see some other manufacturers come up with their solution to something, because this is clearly going to be a successful design. Whether or not they write that into the law, I don't know, but it would be nice to see someone like Consolidated Outland, who I feel are kind of lacking in the ship department. It would be nice to have them have a variant of Snub that they could come up with. I think that would be really interesting as well. So gameplay wise, it's going to be very interesting. It is limited in range, it is limited in its damage, its ability to take punishment is very minute, and seeing swarms of these is going to be very difficult to deal with. I think medium and large size orgs could easily cause a lot of mischief. And then of course there's the pirate gameplay. You could have a pirate crackerpillar pretending to be just another fellow cargo runner. You know, when you bump into those other cargo trainers and traders, and you all sort of wait patiently at the landing pad so you're not sure what's going on, you can masquerade as a friendly cargo runner, and then all of a sudden it's a pirate caterpillar launching all of the Furies. I think pirates will have fun with this. I think boarders are going to have fun with this. I think mercenaries are going to have a lot of good times with these ships. So basically what I'm saying is you need to be on guard 24/7. It's going to be interesting. Right, so to wrap this video up, guys, I know it's been a little bit long for a Snub Fighter video. We will of course do our tour. As you can see, we're in the biggest hangar in the world ever. This is where it spawned my Snub Fighter, which is cool. You can see we've got a pretty fancy green paint here. Kind of like it. Wish it was the yellow one, but yeah, it's alright. It's okay. It's better than the standard colour, I feel. So we have access to the various components, which is important because we know that resource management is on the way. I like how they're easy to reach and get to, and with the tractor beams now we can swap these out. Like I said, I think this is good. Logistically, I think there's going to be a lot of broken Furies around, people crashing, getting blown up. So you really shouldn't be in short supply for finding components for your Fury. It does look really cool from the front. That bubble canopy is pretty sweet. Again, I just wish the blast door was on this particular variant. I think that's a little bit of an oversight, but we'll gloss over it for now. And then the other side we have more storage. You've got a storage bin just below that, as you can see. So everything's easy. The thrusters are cool. The level of detail is really nice. The animations are smooth. I think it's quite a good ship for the price point on the website. Not sure how much it will go for in game. We'll have to sit tight and wait and see. Power plant at the back. which is, in hindsight, probably the best place for it, right? You're very unlikely to get shot in the back with the way this thing maneuvers. If the shield generator was at the back, that could have been a problem, I feel. But having the power plant at the back kind of makes sense. Very sort of unique look that this ship presents itself. That bubble canopy. And like, what I like about the bubble canopy as well, the visibility is excellent, and the fact that we have the drop down seat for you to get in and out is also pretty sweet. It's just so teeny tiny but highly aggressive. You know, Mirai really have opened up this new wing and come out swinging, we can put it that way. So let's now hop in the seat in the cockpit. Down it goes, in we get, and then it's all systems go, really. So we have the basic instrumentation that we're all used to. We have a digital display, and it's a HOSAS system. You can see the guns, and when you're firing this thing and you see those going ballistic, it's a really cool feeling. And we look up, we've got various switches, plenty of visibility, kind of restricted top left and top right because of the way of those sort of arms sort of interact with the cockpit. And then we have this weird, quite sure what this is. I mean, it's cool. I hope it does something in the future. Some sort of maybe thermal readout or some form of radar. Who knows? No idea what that is, but it looks good. Then we have our usual switches, which look fantastic. We have that pull lever, self-destruct here on the right. But visibility is really good. And then when we fire the ship up, we have one single long MFD, which I really like. So let's turn it on. And I actually quite like that design, that sort of all-in-one MFD design, as opposed to 3 intrusive. It's kind of cool. They're easy to read, easy to manipulate, and yeah, it's overall, it's a great little ship. It's opened up a ton of gameplay for players. I'm looking forward to see what the community comes up with. There's going to be a lot of mishaps and tragedies and God knows what else happening with these ships. I have seen them blow up in C2s. I've seen other videos where people are trying to cram as many as you can. That's why I think the Caterpillar's superior, because it has the individual cargo bays, so you're not going to accidentally crash into your friend as you try and take off from a C2, for example. But there we go, guys. That was my video on the new Mirai Fury. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know what buttons to press, and I of course will have more Star Citizen content en route to your location very soon. Thanks guys, take care, cheers.